Hello, beautiful people. It's Cinderella. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're back again with another video, still on the Blake Lively and the Justin Baldoni situation. We're going to be checking this video from Candace Owens as usual. One of you left in the previous videos past to check what Candace Owens is saying regarding this as well. So here we are. We're bringing in the team, and I mean, lots of you guys have also left a couple of comments to check what others are saying, some other channels, which we're also going to revisit or check as well. But I also love your thoughts regarding this because this is really, really interesting, and it gets all the more interesting, a lot bigger than we thought. But I love your thoughts in the comments below at the end of this video. Let's check it out.
So they really did it, guys. They dropped the website. It is the lawsuitinfo.com. As promised by Justin Baldoni's team, they have chosen the path of radical transparency as their preferred method of response here. We never see this. This never happens. Everything's behind closed doors through PR agents. He's just like, here, we're going to play this in public. And just to be clear, they weren't the first to do this. It was Blake Lively. It was Ryan Reynolds. This was their strategy. And now they kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle. But guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle. The genie likes to be free. Okay. And we're now all paying attention. So I'm just going to very quickly, before I give you all of the tea that I got over the weekend, I'm going to go over the biggest revelations from the filing. And I guess we'll just start with revelation number one, which was that we were totally correct about Ryan Reynolds. What is that, like, personality test? Is it called like an Enneagram personality type 1 through 9? Well, Ryan Reynolds on the Enneagram is a psycho. That's what he is. He's just a psycho. His number is psycho. And we had suspected, just by piecing together everything, that he didn't want Blake Lively to be away from him. Remember, I built out the timeline and I worked through it, and I realized that, oh, this is interesting. Like, Ryan Reynolds is filming at the same time as Blake Lively. He's also doing his Wrexham football stuff, and they're basically apart. And I'm sure he popped back a few times, but for like 4 months scheduled to be apart in a different country. And yeah, I felt that Ryan was kicking up some dust because he didn't want to leave Blake Lively alone with Justin Baldoni because he's away in the UK. And then I was positing that perhaps when he got home, he was either reading her text messages, reading through the dailies, reading through the script, and he just decided, okay, you know what? This entire production needs to be halted. I don't trust my wife, okay? And my strongest inclination for that was the fact that on the day that the SAG-AFTRA strike ended, on the day that both of them had to go back to work, meaning Ryan had to go back to film for Wolverine and Deadpool, Wayfarer gets that shocking email of demands, and basically their production gets suspended while Ryan gets to go in the UK and feel confident knowing that she's not going to see Justin Baldoni until he's back. That was just my speculation. Well, in the recent filing, we can now see that Ryan was panicked in general about him being apart from Blake Lively, so much so that when they first communicated with one another, okay, so this is the first time that Ryan Reynolds and Justin Baldoni are speaking to one another, and they're exchanging text messages, and Justin Baldoni does this thing where he's just like so nice and was like, he literally, to sum it up, because I'm not going to read Justin's entire text, he basically is like, I was nervous to even text you. I'm such a fan of you. Like, you're so great. You're amazing. Your wife's amazing. And then says this like really almost first day of middle school kind of thing where he's like, all of this to say, I know I sound ridiculous, but like, I just really want to be friends with you. Like, he literally tells Ryan he wants to be friends with you. And I can just see Ryan sitting there like, yes, this is exactly what I want. A puppy to kick in the mouth. And you'll do what I say. So I'm going to show you these exchanges. This is Ryan Reynolds, Justin Baldoni. If you guys have not read through them, I recommend that you go on to the site to read it. He even extends like saying how wonderful Blake was because, you know, she was very nice to his wife, says that Blake sent the sweetest message to his wife. I mean, he's being so respectful, falling over himself to be respectful and to say like, hey, can we still be friends? And Ryan Reynolds then sends this text message. And he basically says like, sorry for the delay. I've been writing. The girls are sick again, whatever. Tells him essentially that he hit the jackpot with Blake Lively. She literally passes on every film and every filmmaker all the time. But the one thing I know, and I speak from a deep wellspring of experience here, having her in your court behind the scenes as a creative is invaluable. I'm certain that blank would say the same. So my suspicion is he already says Taylor Swift. Okay. They're blocking this name, and the only name that they seem to be like trying to block is Taylor Swift throughout this. So I think right at the onset, Ryan Reynolds is throwing down some alpha male. And by alpha male, I mean extremely beta male. I have rich and powerful friends at the top. That's not a confirmation, but I'm looking at the length of the strip, and it's given Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift would say the same. My wife is wonderful. Okay. Anyways, jumping back into these messages, he then moves immediately to ask Justin Baldoni to change their production dates because he's never been apart from Blake Lively so long. He basically says he tried to do it on his end. I'm paraphrasing here. You can go read it on the website. You know, I was frantically trying to address this. I was frantically trying to change this, shorten the shoot, but I can't because, you know, Deadpool and Wolverine is set in stone. They already booked the studio, but like, could you do something to try to punt this? And he ends it with this, which is funny that we're talking about like a sexual lawsuit and what's appropriate. He ends it by saying, all this to say, I'd have your line producer's face tattooed to my perineum. Okay. So that is the skin between Ryan's parts, I don't even know how to appropriately state that other than perineum. Okay. He pull that back up again. I would have your line producer's face tattooed to my perineum if he, she, or they can figure out how to start 2 weeks earlier. Completely understand how big of an ask that is, but the perineum is one of the most nervy parts of the human body to expose to trauma. What? I'm sorry. I mean, what? So this whole long text is about like, Blake is big, she's powerful, I can't be apart from her for this long. And if you really want to make me happy, like I'm telling you, this is how you do it. Change your production schedule. I'm a big alpha here and my studio can't do it. And Justin falls over himself. And it's like, I will try to, do everything I can to make this happen. Like, I just want to be friends with you. Okay. This now confirms our suspicion that all of those very cringe nice pool scenes in which he was randomly referring to his female dog, Ryan in character being a funny guy. So he had the female dog, which he called dog pool. So read, this was meant to be a bitch, right? A literal bitch. He kept saying that she was looking for a new papa while he was away. Okay. Let's watch that clip again so we can all really just feel disturbed right now.
And I guess you've already met Mary Poppins, aka Dog Pool. Careful where you put your hand. She's 90% G-spot and she'll let you know it. You let this little flirt out of your sight for 1 second and she starts shopping for a new papa. If you can't be a responsible pet owner, then maybe you don't deserve this little unicorn. Guilty on all charges, Your Honor. It shan't happen again.
And he carried that joke over by basically saying that Blake Lively, who I think he's casting as the bitch in that scene, he carried it over to the It Ends With Us promotion, which was weird because this is a movie about domestic violence. It Ends With Us, by again saying in a funny scene that Blake Lively was trying to replace him. Okay. And that's what made us aware, by the way. I was going, nothing in this scene is funny. Nothing in this scene makes sense. Why is he alleging that his wife is trying to place him in a skit which is promoting domestic violence? Why is his mom here and Hugh Jackman? And why do I feel like threatened somehow when I listen to this script? Take a listen.
Well, it's not every day the mother-in-law of the leading lady gets to interview the love interest and the man trying to replace my sweet little gummy bear, Ryan. Let's dive in, shall we? I don't feel very comfortable asking this question.
Nope, I got it. I'll get it. Here, I can do that. You're not going to read it. I will then. Okay, thank you very much. That's the one. It says Ryan would love to have a new dad to have a catch. And I think he could really use a man in his life. Hugh is no spring chicken anymore. Blink once for yes, or blink once for I'd love to be your new dad. He blinked. He blinked.
Ms. Reynolds.
Call me Blake.
Oh,
I could blow your mind, dog.
Oh, man.
It's not every day a guy gets to interview the love interest of his best friend's wife and the guy trying to replace Ryan as a husband and me as his best mate.
Holy
So listen, I've just got one question. What the hell are you doing messing with my best buddy's wife?
Sir, I have no idea what's happening at all today.
In the retrospect, this is all just so scary. It feels like a form of abuse against Blake. And she's not a victim of any of this. She's totally bratty, and we've gone through her messages as well. But I'm just saying that the fact that he doesn't want to be apart from her, and now he's inserted himself into every layer of this movie, something's very wrong here, okay? But what else do we learn from the filing? Well, we learned that at the Deadpool after party, Ryan went and found a William Morris Endeavor. Now, that's the biggest agency. Everybody's under them. That's the one that Justin Baldoni got dropped from, and told that executive that they were working with a sexual predator, referring to Justin Baldoni. It says, Lively, Reynolds, and other members of the film cast attended the premiere for Deadpool and Wolverine. And just them having invited these people is basically, I view Ryan as like an infestation. Like, it's the only way I can say it. If he wants to go after you, he infests himself into every area of your life. And he did this Justin Baldoni. He's like, who are your friends? Okay. Who owns the production company? Who owns the next movie script? I am going to infest myself everywhere. I'm going to be doing your movie premiere. I'm going to be doing promos and making fun of you. Right? I'm going to put myself in the end credits. Like, this is like psychotic behavior. Okay. But going back to what they said was mentioned at this party, at the after party, Wayfair was informed that Reynolds approached a senior executive at WME and expressed his deep disdain for Baldoni, going as far as to suggest that the agency is working with a sexual predator. Okay. Ryan, personally, and you can take this to the bank, I'm telling you right now, this is a fact. This has been confirmed to me. He tried to get Justin Baldoni dropped from WME multiple times before they did. Okay. So all of those articles that came out when Justin got dropped and they were denying that Ryan Reynolds had anything to do with it, those were PR teams that were working overtime behind the scenes, likely their PR team. Leslie Sloan, it's not true. No, that is a fact. I said, I'm getting leaks right now that someone inside of WME confirmed that Ryan Reynolds was going around trying to get him dropped. Okay. And he didn't get it done. They didn't do it until the lawsuit was filed. Then they immediately dropped him. So another thing that we find out, which is a bombshell from this new filing, is that Ryan and Blake, and really, if I have to say Ryan one more time in a movie that has nothing to do with him, He's a very scary, creepy guy. We found the creep. It's Ryan Reynolds. But when Blake started getting all this bad press, obviously she did not believe, and this is true, Blake, my understanding of her is she's like a true narcissist. She's not very smart. She just wants to be rich and famous and have rich friends. Okay. And I had heard that and known that about her since my days that I was working at Glamour magazine, that she was like really mean to people, but she's like very surface. And as long as Ryan's a lot smarter than her, and she therefore allows him to manipulate and control every layer of his life. So long as she can just, be the princess essentially. Okay. So we find out that when she starts getting bad press, and this is a perfect time for Ryan to manipulate her, in my opinion. She's like, well, he's like, probably like, babe, this can't be because you're not amazing. Look at you. You're hot. You're sexy. You're perfect. Give me your phone. I'm going to draft a statement that Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer have to read, because the public noticed that her press appearances were weird. They found her to not be deep at all. They didn't like that she was promoting her hair products, didn't like that she was not taking the theme of domestic violence seriously. And then they found these old videos of her, and they didn't believe this. So they gave them the opportunity, basically put a gun to their head and said, this is a statement that we want you to read. Essentially, Ryan demanded that Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer lie to the public to save Blake's reputation. Here's the statement that Ryan Reynolds drafted according to this lawsuit. And the text messages show this, by the way. I mean, the emails. Statement prepared by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. It was actually Ryan Reynolds on behalf of James Heath, and Wayfarer. They wanted them to say this to us, guys. It Ends With Us was a troubled production, which we, meaning Justin and Wayfarer, take full accountability for. We are very sorry to everyone that we caused upset to, privately and publicly. Blake Lively, Colleen Hoover, and the entire cast and crew led with professionalism every step of the way. Any negativity aimed at them is ours to own. We mutually agreed that the cast would be promoting the film separately and understood why. Lies! Understood why? Yeah, I guess it's not a lie, because you were freaking out and threatening to do things if he was in the same room as her. We have always said that we are not perfect, and even if it unintentionally made mistakes, we will always own them. We hold ourselves accountable. It's not anyone's job but ours, and that's part of being quote-unquote man enough. So that's a little Ryan dig right there. Even in the statement he was going to force him to read, making fun of Justin Baldoni and his like man enough book and podcast and all that stuff. So he's saying you need to be man enough and just say that this is all your fault, that the public isn't like my wife. We will practice what we preach. We are learning and growing from the experience, and we thank everyone for their patience as we find a better way to proceed. We are very proud of the film and the welcome arms that it has been received. Part of our work is to have uncomfortable conversations for public growth. The film is doing that on screen, and we are doing that off screen. Thank you to the cast and crew and public for the opportunity to be imperfect and to be given the space to learn and grow with humanity and dedication. So this is like why I love this lawsuit, because this is an insight to the public that everything you read is BS. They just lie. Like literally, we're just being lied to, right? There's somebody behind the scenes who's being a little psycho. They want to control public thoughts. They want to control public minds. And they are basically like, you're going to read this statement with a gun to your head, even though this has been a terrible thing. And even though it is our fault, we have been awful to you. We've been threatening this movie every step of the way to get what Blake Lively wants and really what Ryan wants more than anything else, having you move dates. We've been a pain in the ass, but you're going to take it on the chin because you wrote a book and have a podcast about being man enough. I mean, and fortunately, they said, no, we're not reading this. This is a lie. We're not going to tell the public this, that the reason we're separated was like agreed upon mutually. It wasn't agreed upon mutually. You came at them with a figurative gun to their head and you put his family in the basement. I'm sorry the public noticed, because the reality is these Hollywood types, they think we are all stupid. We are so dumb. All they need is a PR machine and the right reporter at the Hollywood Reporter and the right reporter at the Daily Mail and Page Six, whatever it is, and they'll tell us what to think. This is how their brains work, okay? Fourth revelation that came is that Sony informed them that there would be a cast-wide boycott if James Heath or Justin Baldoni attended the premiere. How's that for that statement? Actually, we learn that on July 23rd, 2024, Sony informs Wayfarer, the studio financing the premiere and most of the film, that Lively had demanded that Baldoni, Heath, and Wayfarer refrain from attending the New York premiere and threatens a cast-wide boycott if they do. Oh, this is really Justin's fault. I need to be man up and accept, the public, you're noticing some things, but you're wrong, public. Basically, the command was gaslight the public while behind the scenes, we act awful. That was the command. That was the instruction. Okay. And this kind of brings in the Brandon Sklenar piece, because I have just been amazed at how involved he got and how the cast just like knew that Justin was a good person, but went along with this anyways. And I had reduced this to essentially A-list syndrome. Like all of these people who, if you even aspire to be like a Hollywood actor and actress, in most circumstances, you're dealing with someone who probably has some narcissistic tendencies. I'm not saying everyone, okay? But the majority. This is why we have these stereotypes about Hollywood, right? They're not people that treat people well. They're all just trying to climb to the top, and they'll do anything to get there. And that's my viewpoint of Brendan Sklenar. It really is. And so some TikToker did a little digging and figured out how they were able to pluck off these cast members, essentially rolling the red carpet and showing them the A-list life. And I'm going to show you, this user on TikTok is called Steph with the Deets. So I'm just going to allow her to plug in for you this Brandon Sklenar piece.
Well, 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 it all makes sense now. Do you guys know who this is? Does she look familiar? Her name is Liz Plank. Yes, Liz Plank, who was Justin Baldoni's co-host on their podcast, Man Enough. The same Liz Plank that jumped ship just a few days after Blake Lively filed her legal complaint against Justin Baldoni. Not only did Liz Plank post this photo in 2019 thanking Ryan freaking Reynolds, he also posted her book to his story. She also was unwelcome to Wrexham.
Ryan and I had questions. So we went to the only logical place for answers. A woman.
Hi, my name is Liz Plank. In the first episode of the show, Rob said that he went to Ryan for movie money.
Apparently, Welcome to Wrexham is a TV series that took an inside look at the unusual beginnings and dynamics of Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney's football friendship. Ryan Reynolds is the self-co-chairman of the series. Liz had posted this on October 17th, 2022. Caption, thanks to Ryan and Rob for letting me psychoanalyze them and talk about butts on TV. Want to know who else visited Wrexham on Ryan Reynolds' dime? Brandon Sklenar, aka Timu Thor. And this was December 14th, 2024. And allegedly, Blake Lively had invited Brandon and Isabella to book Bonanza and paid for their trip to Texas to attend. Pretty disgusting how all these people were just bought. Who cares about a moral compass? Just give me like a role on a TV show, send me somewhere nice. And this is why I don't even care about the co-stars anymore. They tried to make that a huge deal that they all unfollowed Justin Baldoni. I want to hear about what like the crew is saying. You know, the people behind the scenes that we don't see on camera. I want to hear what they're saying about all this.
Amen. Right. So that's pretty much Liz Plank. We were like, why did she suddenly, like, we thought it was weird. We noticed that she was following Blake Lively and Blake Lively's following her and Ryan Reynolds is following her. And literally, this is what I mean when I say these are psychopathic tendencies. He was infesting every layer of Justin Baldoni's life. So he has his podcast with Liz Plank. Well, we're going to need her as an ally. So what are we going to do? I'm going to put her in a docuseries that I'm working on with Wrexham about football. What? Why is she there? Because Ryan wanted he wanted to isolate him. I want you to understand that. This is what really bugs me about this is narcissistic abuse. He wanted him to feel alone and like he had no one on his side. And the means for him to attain that was through his wealth and like the A-list clientele that he surrounds himself with. You know, me and Hugh are going to be on the set promoting your film, making fun of you. Like, I really want you guys to think about how insane that is. And this kind of throws me back to the real hero in all this. Martha Stewart, a while ago, went on to some show. She was promoting something, one thing or another. And she basically said that she knows Ryan and he's not a funny guy. Like, she was basically alerting the public to the fact that Ryan Reynolds is kind of a psycho. Like, she didn't say it, but she was like, he's pretty serious. Like, she's basically letting people know that he puts on this persona as this funny, nice guy, and this isn't who he is. And so listen to what Martha Stewart had to say on this random game show.
We asked Built members what celebrities would be the most fun to hang out with.
He's probably on the list just because he covers himself up in his movies and you don't see his face. Ryan Reynolds, is he one of those? And you want to know something? He's not so funny in real life.
Really?
No, he's not so funny. He's very serious. No, Taylor, then I would do Snoop, and then I would take Ryan off it, and I would put in somebody else.
I'm so surprised that Ryan Reynolds isn't funny. This is like a shocker to me.
No,
I see him
he's a good
walking
actor.
up and down our star neighborhood all the time.
He can act funny, but he isn't funny. Maybe he can get to be funny again.
I'm so disappointed, actually.
I'm going to get in trouble. He's my neighbor. He's my neighbor.
So she was spilling. She was letting people know that this whole persona, nice guy, funny guy, is an act. And that's not who he is behind the scenes. I think he is a very disturbed, angry individual. I was also positing with my team something else that, and this is, by the way, this is not anybody insider leaking this, but I find it interesting that one thing that the public hasn't discussed enough is the Scarlett Johansson piece. So if he has this narcissistic, abusive tendencies, which I believe everything he did was narcissistic and abusive. We saw that in Deadpool, even against Justin Baldoni. So we don't even have to imagine what he does to Blake Lively at home or anything like that. But if he's already publicly admitted that he has these control issues and they stem from the fact that his father was always screaming, and we now know that Ryan's also a screamer, so he basically just became his dad. So that whole little scene about like his father and unresolved issues, yeah, it's looking like you might have just become who you allege your father was. He sat down, I think it was with the New York Times or whoever it was, and said that he developed these control issues. Like he's very controlling because he felt the only way that he could get his dad not to scream in the house was to make sure everything was like within his control. Okay, so that's why Ryan is the way that he is. And when you apply that to Scarlett Johansson, the limited things that she said about her relationship when she was married to him only for 2 years, okay? Scarlett Johansson was instantly A-list. She was at the top of her game. I was going through all of her stuff. And what's funny is his whole relationship with like the bromance between him and Hugh Jackman registers to me as weird. I don't think it's cute now. I think it's really weird. And what's funny is the way that they started this like bromance was actually they didn't quite like each other because Ryan Reynolds was holding on to, and they both admitted this publicly, to a comment that Hugh Jackman made because when Hugh Jackman was an A-list star, so was Scarlett Johansson, and they starred next to each other in this movie. I think it's called the Prestige. Mark will correct me in my ear if I'm wrong. The Prestige. Okay, great. It was called The Prestige. And this is like around the time that she's with Ryan Reynolds. Okay. And Ryan Reynolds was jealous. Ryan Reynolds was controlling. It had always been alleged that this was about Ryan Reynolds. And Scarlett Johansson is not Blake Lively. Okay. She's known to be, and I can tell you this because I worked at a firm, we did movies, and I literally met Scarlett Johansson. She's known to be very bright. She is known to be very classy, and she's known to be very kind. And so I get this sense that if you're that kind of a control person and Scarlett Johansson after 2 years goes, peace, I'm out of this marriage, you will never let that go, because now we know he holds a grudge. He was mad at Hugh Jackman because of something that Hugh Jackman said to him when he was married to or engaged to Scarlett Johansson. He said something like, I don't want you doing anything to my girl or whatever, like, you know, something that like an uncle might say, like protective of Scarlett Johansson. And Ryan held on to this for years. And her career has always been bigger, has always been greater. She's the highest paid actress in Hollywood, Scarlett Johansson. And I think someone like him would still be bothered by this, even though they, you know, amicable breakup, it's fine. She doesn't care. She's remarried. I think he still does care to try to one up her. And what I found interesting and why I'm bringing this up right now is that in 2023, in December, it was announced that Scarlett Johansson was doing a movie that's now called Eleanor the Great with Wayfarer and Sony Studios. Okay. He would have known about this. He would have found out about this probably before the public found out. So if we found out in December of 2023 that this was happening, and then it was announced again about Wayfarer and Sony Studios, did that set him off in a weird way? It was her directorial debut, the first time she was going to be directing a film. And here's the headline here: Scarlett Johansson to make her directorial debut with Eleanor the Great. I'm just wondering. I'm not going to say anything else, but I find that piece to be compelling about his character. I think ScarJo may have been the one who got away, and he wanted someone who was like dumber and more basic behind her. And from all accounts, by all accounts, he got it. Not disrespect Blake Lively, but she's just not known to be that bright. And I think that allows him to more easily control her. Okay, last thing that I want to bring up before I tell you all the tea and what everybody dropped that's interesting and compelling from this website was the budget thing, because this really tells you who Blake Lively is. Okay, so on April 25th, they had to send around this email about the wardrobe budget versus the price. And this isn't the final price, by the way. This is just by April 25th. Here it is, the email that went around. It says, hi all, wardrobe's budget for spending was $185K. Normally, wardrobe overspends and then does tons of returns and ends up in budget. Our wardrobe team just told me that they'd spent about $500K and then land back at $185K once returns are done. To date, they have already spent $615,000. Now, if you read the lawsuit, it's because Blake wanted to be in control. Again, she likes pretty things. She wants to believe that she's this wonderful stylistic person. She wanted to be in control of, and she changed around the entire wardrobe, and she picked the wardrobe. And then when pictures of her leaked on set of this wardrobe, this very expensive wardrobe that she had put together because she had a vision for what this character would look like, the public said it was like the ugliest thing they've ever seen. They didn't like it, and they got terrible feedback. And Justin then went to have a conversation with her, like, I would like to have some say in what this character is wearing. My sister told me, my little sister said, she looked like Lizzie McGuire. It was terrible. I didn't see the movie, but my sister said she looked like Lizzie McGuire. So she thinks she's this huge, artistic, amazing thing because that's what Ryan tells her so he can keep controlling her. That's my theory. Okay. But that's absurd. It really shows you how bratty she is. And they also indicate that she had to bring they made her, like she made the team bring all the clothes to her penthouse rather than her showing up and having a fitting on set, which is what's normal. All right, guys. So now I'm about to take you down the rabbit hole of what is really going on. Basically, how everyone involved here is essentially strapped to a figurative bomb, and it's how they got here is a bunch of petty power trips. Real inside baseball. I mean, I have all the TT, and it is going to make you sick.
The more you look at this, when you try to put all the pieces together, it's like a puzzle. When you put the pieces together, just some tiny bits, you will see every angle or every reason why they sort of decided they want to hate on Justin Baldoni for no good reason. Because they are evil people. They are really, really disturbed. And the fact that so many players involved, they attacked him from so many angles, so many ways, threatening to end his career, his reputation, and all that, and just sort of want to blacklist him entirely from Hollywood. That's to tell you how evil, disturbed these people really are. Like, seriously. And the Scarlett Johansson piece, we've already talked about this, and I mean, that makes so much sense. And when you start to look at all of this, you realize that like they actually wanted, like, they were not just working with only just one intent. They just wanted it all round. So this guy, who is a nobody, he don't work in Hollywood again. Nobody works with him again. He don't have nobody to defend him. But I mean, thanks to the public and thanks to social media, people are watching. Let me know what you think.